Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Subramani. This is the remains of my father-in-law, Ganas Kisten Pillay. We're going to hand you over to his younger brother, Robin Pillay, who's going to be our program director from here.
Let's start. Let us pray. Munnavani Yani Mugatavani Mutinalam Sannavani Tuyami Sugatavani Manavani Satparani Aingarani Sensariyam Sengarani Tatparani Saranam Saranam Ulagalamunanda Odeku Ariyavan Mila Ulaviye Nirmaliveniyan Alagasoriyan Hambalataladuvan Alagasoriyan Hambalataladuvan Malasilambari Varsivananguvo Malasilambari Varsivananguvo. Thank you. You may retain your seats. In the name of my master, His Holiness Brahma Sri Siva Subramania Guru Swamigal, our heavenly and ever-pervading Lord Shiva, my humble salutations, Vanakam, Namaste and Namaskaram to one and all. It is indeed a very sad day that we have gathered here today. We have gathered here today to pay tribute to our beloved dad, our beloved brother, Ganas Kisten Pillay. Dear brothers and sisters, I make a humble appeal for a special request. We want to give our beloved dad a dignified funeral. We're going to give them a dignified send-off. So we make a special appeal to you to please accord that respect to our beloved dad. Please refrain from unnecessary talking and disturbing whilst the service and the prayer is in progress. Thank you. I will now hand you over to the Anja's prayer group, who will be assisting, who will be rendering divine hymns. If you are familiar with any of the hymns, you are most welcome to join in. Thank you. The immediate family members will come in first because we want to commence with the Koli prayers. Thank you. All the brothers.
Shaya विघ्नेश्वराय नमो शिववाहनाय मोहनाय पुत्र विघ्न विनायक अंबिके महादेवाय नमः पुरंदाय गणेश देव अंबिके देव सर्वदिन समर्पयामि अंबिके महादेवाय नमः पुरंदाय नमो गणेश देवत्राय नमः गणपति नमः ओम शिववाहनाय नमः ओम विघ्नेश्वराय नमः ओम गणराजाय नमः अनोदयाय नमः आदिपति नमः ओम अलद विनायक नमः आप्रपुत्र देवाय नमः अंबिके मगाय नमः आर्म मनदाय नमः आवेश गणपति नमः पालन गणपति नमः ओम भक्त गणपति नमः शक्ति गणपति नमः नृत्य गणपति नमः एकदंत गणपति नमः मूलगम गणपति नमः राज्य गणपति नमः बालसत्र देवाय नमः पार्वती पुत्र गणेशाय नमः ओम पिल्लैयार अप्पाय नमः विदंबर देवाय नमः प्रमोदराय नमः ओम रुद्र प्रियाय नमः ओम स्कंद बालाय नमः ओम गणेशाय नमः गजमुगाय गणराजन विघ्नेश्वराय नमः गजखंड देवत्राय नमः गजमुगाय गणराजन विघ्नेश्वराय नमः ओम சேர்பற்ற மோஷிகள் வேதல் ஏறி வந்து சிங்கார யோதிமுனே நென் பார்வதியன் பரமுருகந்த வானவன ரிஷிமுருக சித்திரம் எல்லாம் தானே திருவந்தனம் கந்தனம் ஜெய ஜெய கணபதி என் பேர்பற்ற தேவந்திராய சிந்து விளையாடும் கணேஸ்வரா குருணி கணேச தேவந்திராய பக்தவராய நம்பந்த கணேசவராய ஆத்மந்த தர்ப்பணம் சமர்ப்பயாமி சாம்ப சிவமூர்த்தி தர்ப்பணம் சமர்ப்பயாமி அகுதேவத்ராய வாமதேவத்ராய गणेश देत्रम अंबिके देत्रम सर्व देत्रम समर्पयामि गजखंड देवाय गजमुगाय गणराजन विघ्नेश्वराय
மன்னல்ல சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே எல்லோரும் நீ வேணும் சிவபெருமானே 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 எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் பெருமானே தாயும் தந்தை எல்லோரும் நம சிவாயா ஓம் ஓம் மனிதன கவகல கேட்கும் நீதானையா ஓம் ஓம் மனிதன கவகல கேட்கும் நீதானையா சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே 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 எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே அம்மே அப்பா குரு தெய்வமே அம்மே அப்பா குரு தெய்வமே ஆண்டவனே நீ அருள் செய்வாயே ஆண்டவனே நீ அருள் செய்வாயே சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே 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 எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே நமச்சிவாய ஓம் நீ தெய்வமே நமச்சிவாய ஓம் நீ தெய்வமே காத்தருள்வாய் நீ அருள் செய்வாயே காத்தருள்வாய் நீ அருள் செய்வாயே சிவபெருமானே சிவபெருமானே எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே 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 எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே எல்லோரும் நீ தெய்வம் சிவபெருமானே Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah கண்ணில் தெரியும் காட்சியில் எல்லாம் கடவுள் இருக்கின்றார் அவர் கருணை உள்ளவர் இரக்கம் உள்ளவர் மனதில் இருக்கின்றார் கண்ணில் தெரியும் காட்சியில் எல்லாம் கடவுள் இருக்கின்றார் அவர் கருணை உள்ளவர் இரக்கம் உள்ளவர் மனதில் இருக்கின்றார் எண்ணம் எடுத்தவர் கற்றவர் வாழ்வு பொன்னை நினைக்கின்றார் அவர் எடுத்தறியாதே மனிதருக்கெல்லாம் எடுத்தாய் நிற்கின்றார் எடுத்தாய் நிற்கின்றார் கண்ணில் தெரியும் காட்சியில் எல்லாம் கடவுள் இருக்கின்றார் அவர் கருணை உள்ளவர் இரக்கம் உள்ளவர் மனது
திருசற்றம் மாதேவனே சிவசங்கரனே நாராயணே ஹரிவோ பரமாத்மா ஏசுனே நீ நாராயணே ஹரிவோ மாதேவனே சிவசங்கரனே பரமாத்மா ஏ லிங்காதரணி ஓம் நம சிவாய நாராயண ஹரி லிங்காதரணி ஓம் மாதவனே சிவ சங்கரனே நாராயண ஹரி பரமாத்மா ஏற்றுணைனே நாராயண ஹரி நாராயண ஹரி நாராயண ஹரி
Yeah, brothers and sisters, you are most likely you can come forward and you can view the body now. Thank you.
சிவா எங்கே அணிந்தவா அந்தோ கஜம்பிலாசா சதிங்கேயான ஆதேவி மாதா லிங்கேஸ்வரா நிந்தா பிரதேனா நெல்லையம் வல்லநகராஜா சிறுமைநாதனே பரமேசா நெல்லையம் வல்லநகராஜா சிறுமைநாதனே பரமேசா அலதீதானவா அவிதானவா அலதீதானவா அவிதானவா நெல்லையம் வல்லநகராஜா சிறுமைநாதனே பரமேசா நெல்லையம் வல்லநகராஜா சிறுமைநாதனே பரமேசா ஏங்கமே சிவமிலே அருள் பார்வதி எங்கமின்பம் விளங்கவே அருள் பார்வதி இளமையகல மறந்தா மனம் பொங்கவா இளமையகல மறந்தா மனம் பொங்கவா நெல்லையம் வல்லநகராஜா சிறுமைநாதனே பரமேசா நெல்லையம் வல்லநகராஜா சிறுமைநாதனே பரமேசா அலைவிட நாடும் கலையேனோ பணியுடன் உன்னையே துதிபாடும் அலைவிட நாடும் கலையேனோ பணியுடன் உன்னையே துதிபாடும் கலைகளங்கார மாளிகராணி நேசா கலைகளங்கார மாளிகராணி நேசா மலையர் வாசா மங்கள
மறந்திடம் காணியா மாயங்கம் வாயகமே மறந்திடம் காணியா மாயங்கம் வாயகமே பாராம் காணி மயமே உலக பாரலாம் காணி மயமே பாரலாம் காணி மயமே உலக பாரலாம் காணி மயமே மாறந்தீரம் காணியான் மாயங்கம் வாயகமே மாறந்தீரம் காணியான் மாயங்கம் வாயகமே பாரலாம் காணி மயமே உலக பாரலாம் காணி மயமே பூரண்ணன் புகன் தாரம் ஊரே உறவிடுவே பூரண்ணன் புகன் தாரம் ஊரே உறவிடுவே காரணன் அருள்மயமே உலக பாரலாம் காணி மயமே பாரலாம் காணி மயமே உலக பாரலாம் காணி மயமே சாரம் இல்லாத சம்சார தன்மாயக்கம் சாரம் இல்லாத சம்சார தன்மாயக்கம் மாறன் வீரம் காணி அன்றோ உலக மாறன் வீரம் காணி அன்றோ மாறன் வீரம் காணி அன்றோ உலக மாறன் வீரம் காணி அன்றோ நாரன் நாரன் நயனாலான உலக நாரன் நாரன் நயனாலான உலக வாரண நாரி தருவாய் தினமே வாரண நாரி தருவாய் வாரண நாரி தருவாய் தினமே வாரண நாரி தருவாய் மாறன் வீரம் காணியா மாயங்கம் வாயகமே மாறன் வீரம் காணியா மாயங்கம் வாயகமே பாரலாம் காணி மயமே உலக பாரலாம் காணி மயமே ஓம் நம சிவாய நமவே 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 உலகளாம் நிறந்த ஜோதி எங்கள் துயர் தீர்க்கவா தேவி உலகளாம் நிறந்த ஜோதி எங்கள் துயர் தீர்க்கவா தேவி நலப்பிறை தாயே நடனமாடுவாய் தேவி நலம் பெற எண்ணிய தாயே நடனமாடுவாய் தேவி ஓம் நம சிவாய நமவே 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 தேவி மாகாளினி பாவாயன் தன் தாயே தேவி மாகாளினி வாவாயன் தன் தாயே பூவி அஜியத்தியன் தாயே வாவாயன் தன் தாயே பூவி அஜியத்தியன் தாயே வாவாயன் தன் தாயே ஓம் நம சிவாய நமவே ஓம் நம சிவாய நமவே ஓம் நம சிவாய நமவே ஓம் நம சிவாய நமவே
நம் தேவனுக்கு என்னை வேண்டும் ஐயா. 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 சத்தியம் என்றும் தவறாதே உன் செயலால் தானத்தை காட்டுகிறே. சத்தியம் என்றும் தவறாதே உன் செயலால் தானத்தை காட்டுகிறே. யாதே என்றும் பெருகிடவே உன் உள்ளத்தில் பேர்மைய வளர்த்துவிடே. யாதே என்றும் பெருகிடவே உன் உள்ளத்தில் பேர்மையில் வளர்த்துவிடே. நாம் தேவனுக்கு என்னை வேண்டும் ஐயா. 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 உள்ளத்தில் வாசத்தை வளர்த்துவிடே. நன்மைகள் எல்லாம் செய்துவிடே. உள்ளத்தில் வாசத்தை வளர்த்துவிடே. நன்மைகள் எல்லாம் செய்துவிடே. தாய் குருவே மனதுவிடே. மடுகளும் எல்லாம் போற்றிவிடே. தங்கத்தாய் குருவே மனதுவிடே. மடுகளும் எல்லாம் போற்றிவிடே. நம் தேவனுக்கு என்னை வேண்டும் ஐயா. 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 நம் தேவனுக்கு பெருமை வேண்டும் ஐயா. நம் தேவனுக்கு சேவை வேண்டும் ஐயா. நம் தேவனுக்கு பெருமை அப்பா பிதாவே அன்பான தேவா அருமே ரட்சகரே ஆவியானவரே அப்பா பிதாவே அன்பான தேவா அருமே ரட்சகரே Thank you.
In the name of my master, His Holiness Brahma Sri Siva Subramanya Guru Swamigal, our heavenly and ever-pervading Lord Shiva, my humble salutations, Vanakkam, Namaste and Namaskaram to one and all. Dear brothers and sisters, at this stage, at this juncture, I would like to compliment you for the manner in which you have conducted yourselves. It is indeed a very sad day that we have gathered here today to pay tribute, to pay our last respects, and to bid farewell to a loving soul, our dear brother Ganas Kisten Pillay, affectionately known by many of us as Roger or Rogers. Our beloved dad, beloved brother, leaves behind a loving sister, Sally, leaves behind 4 loving brothers, Dan, Basil, Jerry, and myself. My name is Robin. Our beloved dad also leaves behind a partner, Pam, leaves behind 2 children, a son, Sean, and his daughter, Sharon. Also leaves behind 2 children we regarded as his very own children, that is Nadine, daughter Nadine, and the son Trevlin. Our beloved dad also leaves behind 2 son-in-laws, Pastor Leon, who is present today, and Sister Yvonne, who is not here today. She is in New Zealand, and the son is also in New Zealand. Unfortunately, they could not make it to come because of time constraints. But we do have in here as a virtual distinct prayer that's going on. Our beloved dad also leaves behind 7 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren, and also a host of friends and family. It is indeed a sad day, but what we must remember, it is a victory for the soul, because the soul is now gone to a better place where there is no more pain and suffering. We find that the 2 important things that most all religions preach and practice as well is compassion and love. You got to have compassion and love for your fellow human beings. And my brother Rogers was one of them who always loved everyone that was around him. He showed compassion and love. You find that people get carried away with the worldly pleasures. Nowadays you'll find people get carried away by greed, by lust, by jealousy and hatred. And they forget that your parents that brought you into this world. You find that our mother and our father are our visible gods. If we cannot worship our mother and our father, which is our visible gods, then how can we worship God, the unseen? So, Guru Swamigal said, man has learned to swim like a fish in the sea. Man has even learned to fly like a bird in the air. But man has still to learn to live like a man. I just want to relate a short story. We've got a number of speakers here. I think we've got 9 speakers today. And, imagine my brother was so popular, he was so well loved. You look at the number of people that are here present today, speaks volumes as well, and especially it's on a weekday. And thank you for attending the funeral. There was this a businessman, a dad, who just came from a business trip. And he was busy with his business dealings on a laptop. And you'll find his son came up to him and said, "Dad, can you help me with my homework?" The dad was so annoyed, he was so frustrated that he actually, he felt that the son was troubling him. He didn't want to help his son, and then he got hold of an old magazine and he got hold of the map of the world. He cut the map of the world into pieces, and he now said, "I can at least give my son to put the map of the world together, maybe to take him 1 hour, 2 hours to get him and keep him busy." But to his surprise, within 5 minutes, the son came back with the map of the world put together. The dad now asked, "Son, how was it possible that you put the map of the world together in just 5 minutes?" Well, he said, "Dad, you see, at the back of the map of the world was a picture of man. When I put man right, then the entire world came right." Thank you. We now have the first speaker, Pastor Leon. Pastor Leon is a son-in-law. Pastor Leon will deliver a message, will pay tribute. Pastor Leon.
Great to you all. I'm Leon, Roger's son-in-law, and it gives me privilege today to speak on behalf of my father-in-law. I know him for about 32 years. A man that's worked hard, a man of integrity, a man that rose at 3 in the morning to get himself ready for the day's work. Rogers was a very loving man. He was a man that affected all those that were around him. And for those of you that were close to him, you know that he loved his dog. And not a day would go by without that. And he was a man that worked diligently, honestly, and precisely. He was a man that owed no man anything. Something did not belong to him, we dare not touch it. And today it is with great regret in our heart that we say goodbye to him as a dad. And his fond memories would live with us. Whenever he came to us, he would visit us, and he respected us when we gave our hearts to the Lord. And he would come himself nice and a couple of drops up, and he'd come and sing, "No harm, no harm, no harm." He said, "See, I'm serving your God too." And we had good days and bad days, but I must say that in 32 years, we have never had an issue, we've never had a problem. And we will love you and miss you. And we just want to say thank you for paying your respect and being present here with us. We truly value you being here with us and standing with the immediate family. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Leon, for those wonderful words of wisdom, the wonderful words of Garland about my brother. I know in Timothy it says, "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race, and I have kept the faith." And my brother Rogers, I think, really kept that faith. He has run that race. He has lived his life to the fullest. We have another speaker. There are so many speakers, I don't know who to call next. We have Babs Sivalingam around. Babs Sivalingam is a neighbor, and Babs Sivalingam knew my brother very well. They were very close friends, and he would like to say a few words on behalf of my brother. Thank you.
Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskaram, Om Sai Ram, Salam Alaikum to one and all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure at this afternoon to stand here and pay tribute to a wonderful human being, Roger. I've known Roger for about 27 years after he got married and came here to the flats. And from the time that I know him until to the passing off, he was a wonderful human being. Just like Pastor Leon was mentioning that he used to get up 3 in the morning and go to work. The same issue here. I don't know what time he used to wake up, but he used to go work in the morning when it used to be dark and come back when it used to be dark as well. A man of very few words, but a very dedicated and compassionate person. One thing I can tell you about Roger was he used to mind his own business, not worrying about anyone else, just himself, his wife, children, grandchildren, and that's how he lived his life. And another thing I would like to stress upon is Roger was a very neat dresser, and he never repeated his clothes. If he wore a shirt and a pant, he had a jacket or a jersey to match it with his shoes or his khakis. An ardent fan of the Liverpool Football Club. Whenever Liverpool played, Roger never missed a match. He was always there to watch it, cheer, and come back home cheering. But if they lost, he would just come down sad and just come home. And I used to have a lot of conversation with him regarding the matches that he used to watch, that I used to also watch. He used to talk about how we missed a goal, or how did we play it today, or we should have scored that goal, and this, that, and that, whatever it is. But this last couple of months, his health deteriorated. And I used to go and see him now and again, and it used to be sad to see him in that condition. But today, as he leaves us, we're going to pay tribute to him, honor him, and celebrate his life for what he was. And before I could conclude in my speech, I would like to take this opportunity in saluting Pushpaya, who is probably known as Pam, for taking good care of him from the time that he was sick until the time of his passing. Also to Trevlin and Nadine and the grandchildren for assisting her in any which way they could. Pam used to struggle and used to complain of pains and aches, but still she did her duty. And a big thank you to her for whatever she has done for Roger. And last but not least, the family has asked me to thank the son-in-law, Pastor Leon Subramani, and his family for arranging the funeral today. And I would like to thank each and every one of you who are present, and also those who have sent messages of condolences, floral tributes, and any way in which way that all have helped the family. I thank you all. God bless you all.
Thank you, Babs, for that neighborly love. For you remember, Rogers, as you mentioned, was such a neat person, always prim and proper about everything. A very, very assertive person as well, and he had good work ethics, and he make sure that he is always regular and punctual to work. I remember Pastor Leon. Pastor Leon, actually, before Rogers passed away, he made like this 3. And Pastor Leon is a Man United supporter. And my brother Rogers told him, hey, don't forget, because we gave, the third time we're giving you all hiding now. Liverpool is going to give you all hiding again. So come Sunday, I'm sure Rogers is going to smile, I think, in heaven. Right? Thank you. We're going to have the next speaker. We're going to have the daughter, Sharon. Next. Okay. We're going to have a well-wisher on behalf of the Pillay family, a well-wisher who doesn't want to mention the name. Well-wisher can come forward. Thank you. Well, thanks to the well-wisher. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to read the tribute on behalf of the Pillay family. From his daughter Nadine. She remembers her father as a happy-go-lucky soul, someone who always put his family first. He carried a spirit that was warm, light, and full of heart, always reminding those around him that family came before anything else. He would always make her laugh with the things he used to say after a Liverpool game and his funny stories about growing up. If she had to describe her father's view on life in one sentence, it would simply be, family always first. Even the smallest gestures showed how much he cared. He was always there for her and her brother, raising them, supporting them, and being present for all the milestones in their lives. The lessons he taught her stay with her every single day. No matter what happens in life, your parents always come first. Without your parents, you are nothing. From Nadine, in her words, to her father. I feel so empty and my heart is so heavy knowing my dad is no longer with us. My first good morning and my last good night were always for him. Now there's nobody to keep calling out to ask, are you okay? Do you need anything? I remember going into his room and he'd jokingly say that Tiana and Jeremiah were troubling him or never visiting him just so I'd call them in and pretend to scold them, only for him to laugh. In his last few days, I saw him at his worst and it broke us all. He held on to only for his family because we were everything to him. Dad, I love you immensely. It broke my heart to see you suffer and it breaks me to see you in the casket. But I'm comforted knowing that you're finally resting, free from pain and suffering. Thank you for always being there for us, for loving us, spoiling us, and even shouting when we needed. We have grown according to your teachings and are forever grateful to have you as our dad. Your name will always be etched in our hearts and echoed in our minds. From his granddaughter Tiana. She fondly remembers how he would take her to school every morning, making even the simplest moments feel special. He never failed to spoil her with chocolates or surprise her with little treats that made her day. What stands out most to her is the gentle way he treated her, never once raising his hand, only his love. He was patient and always had time to listen, no matter how small her stories were. She remembers sitting beside her tata, laughing at his jokes and feeling an unspoken bond that only the two of them shared. His presence brought comfort, a sense of safety that words could never describe. She'll never forget his famous saying, "Love is a thing that you can hardly explain. It tickles your heart and it worries your brain." In her words to her tata, "I'll miss you, tata, and I'll always remember that I was your favorite. You were my first best friend and I'll carry your love with me forever." From his grandson Jeremiah. He remembers his tata's funny side, the way his grandfather would tell those disturbing yet hilarious stories that only he could get away with, and somehow always find to make him laugh no matter the mood. He loved being around him, especially during those light-hearted moments when laughter came easily, and everything felt simple and good. He remembers his tata's quick walk, his sharp humor, and that unmistakable energy that filled any space he entered. There was never a dull moment when he was around. He had a spark that drew people in and made ordinary days unforgettable. Jeremiah will never forget the way his tata would tease him, call him over just to share a story, or make a playful comment that had everyone in stitches. Behind all the jokes, though, was a deep love, one that showed in every word, every gesture, every bit of time they shared. From his son-in-law Sanjay, in his words directly. "It's sad to accept that you are gone. You are more than just a father-in-law. You are a father and a friend. Over the past 16 years, we built a bond that words can hardly explain. I remember the times we'd get so drunk together that you'd always refuse to take the bus back from the village, insisting instead that we walk. And somehow we always arrived safely, holding onto each other and laughing the whole way. Playing the jackpot at Chelmsford Hotel was one of your favorites, and whenever you won, you'd spoil the children without hesitation. You were a man who loved his music, his dance, and a good laugh. What I'll miss most are your songs, especially your favorite, Kya Hua Tera Vada. Most of all, I'll miss you. Over the past 16 years, we built a bond that nothing can replace. It was painful to see you sick and fighting, but I find comfort knowing you're now in a better place, free from pain. I could write pages and pages upon the good times that we shared, but I know you wouldn't hear me. Still, Those memories will stay with me forever. I'm really going to miss you. Rest in peace. From his wife Pam, who shared 28 beautiful years of partnership with him. She says what kept them together was mutual respect, patience, and a loving home. He was a devoted partner and a dedicated father, always willing to teach the children and ensure that the home never lacked. His love showed itself not in grand gestures, but in the quiet, thoughtful ways he cared for his family. During the fasting months, he would lovingly bring home vegetable pies, a simple act, yet one that spoke volumes of his kindness and attention. She remembers how proud he was of his trade, a painter by profession, known for his steady hand, his precision, and his eye for perfection. That same attention to detail carried into every part of his life. Even a small crease or double line in his trousers could turn the whole entire house having a debate. That was just who he was, meticulous, passionate, and full of life. He brought color not only to his work, but to the hearts of those who loved him. His presence filled their home with laughter. His care built the foundation of their family, and his partnership will remain her greatest treasure. From his son, Trevlin. He reflects on how his father's personality evolved through the years. From being cheeky in his younger days, sometimes full of mischief, to a man who later became deeply grounded and wiser with time. Their bond grew stronger in recent years, and he became more than a father. He became a guiding figure and a true friend. His father's famous words were, Mata Pita and Guru Devam. That is the rule of life. Your mother is your first God, and if you disrespect your mother, you are nothing in this world. He always said that whatever you do, you must have integrity and dignity. Those were the principles he lived by, and the ones he passed on to his children. These words will forever echo in his heart and serve as a lesson for generations to come. From Trevlin in his words directly. Dad, I miss you. We miss you. I kept reassuring myself that I was ready for your demise, but the truth is I lied to myself. It's hard and extremely heavy to cope with. Waking up since yesterday feels so strange without having to come to your room and ask, yeah, Roger, what is the problem? I am grateful for the sacrifices you've made for Nadine and me. You took care of us as someone would look after their own children. I learned how to read a clock because of you. Painting has now become my skill because of you, shouting at me to work hard and to have integrity in everything we do. Nadine was always your favorite at home, but over the past year, after you got sick, I grew close to you. You have been the only father figure I've ever known, because mine left this earth when I was too small to remember. To my biological father in heaven, please make my father comfortable. He has suffered and endured enough over these past few weeks. In your words, Roger, up the Liverpool. Go well, Roger, and remember, we love you. You are right. You are the last living gringo. You came a long way fighting these ailments month after month, and you fought hard. I will surely miss carrying you like a baby and making you laugh, and even upsetting you with my funny tricks and troubles. Please continue guiding and protecting us every step of the way.
Thanks, dear well-wisher, for that such a long tribute. And it is true that, whatever she said about my brother Rogers. He was such a fatherly figure, and he led by example. On behalf of my family, I would like to extend our thanks and appreciation to Pam and her family for taking care of him, even right up to yesterday when he passed on. We really appreciate. We are grateful for that, for taking care of him as well. They say a family that prays together stays together. We have the next speaker, Vijay. Is Vijay here? Vijay will pay tribute. Thank you. No, I still not change it to Vijay. No, Stephanie is out. Is Stephanie here? Stephanie. Okay. Stephanie will now. Thank you. Thanks, Stephanie.
John's daughter.
Greetings in the name of Jesus. As I stand here today to speak on behalf of my family, I stand here with so much of gratitude, knowing the memories that we kept forever, that we will have, and it will be kept forever. As you all know, Ganes, Rogers or Roger, but to me, he was simply Big Daddy. Being married to my aunt Savi, or you may know as Manan, they had two beautiful children. My Anna, Sean, who is not present today, and my Akka, Sharon, affectionately known to our family as Pinky. Our grandparents' home in Bingo Farm Sawmills was a hot spot for every family gathering. Holidays or just a weekend to spend cooking, eating, and just being with one another. My Big Daddy and my Uncle Stevie and my dad were my granny's three soldiers. They were inseparable. However, each had their own families that they would go back to. There were days when I remember her growing up in the farm as a little girl. My Uncle Stevie, my dad, and my Big Daddy. They would sit together, they would laugh together, they would play cards together, and they would get drunk together. Big Daddy was the eldest son-in-law to my grandparents, the late Munsami and Selvi Pandaram of Bingo Farm Sawmills. He would help my grandparents with just about anything, or his favorite thing to do when he visited was have an ice-cold black label beer, and then the fun began. Big Daddy would start with the dance, from the floor to the coffee table, and let me tell you, the hi-fi was on blast. He would sweep me off my feet and carry me in his arms, dancing on the coffee table to Hey Ganga Maya. When my grandfather was back, don't ask me how Big Daddy noticed. That music would go off and he and my dad would be absolutely sober. In every Indian family, there was always that one uncle who would call you a name, and that name would be etched in you forever. Mine was Stephanie Forrester. After getting married and starting my own family and living far, my close family members, I barely saw them and I barely spent time with them. But in recent years, I began to see Big Daddy, and every time that I saw him, it was, "Hey, Stephanie Forrester, how are you?" And I'd say, "Big Daddy, you'd never forget that name." And he said, "No, how could I forget? Because you're going to be a matriarch of a family." And I never really understood why. But Big Daddy, I thank you for the memories that you have shared. I spent a lot of my life growing up with Pastor Leon and my Akka Sharon. And, you know, the fondest memories of him were coming, visiting them, and, you know, just loving on his grandchildren. In other words, he loved them. He would take the time out from the village, walking right to Plain Street just to come and see them. And I remember the one day it was so hot, and Akka asked him, "Daddy, you're walking in the hot sun?" And he said, "Yeah, I came to see my grandchildren." And let me tell you, if he did not come with Auntie Pam's board, it was a problem. Auntie Pam, I just want to say my condolences to you, and thank you so much for taking care of my Big Daddy. Also to Chevlin and Nadine as well. To my Akka, I know Big Daddy loved you, and I know you loved him, and I know that you're going to be okay, because you as is everything, Akka, and you'll always be is everything. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Stephanie Forrester. Okay, thank you, Stephanie Forrester, for those words of Garland. Yeah, my brother used to say, Ganga Maya, he used to always love, and when we used to have a few drinks together, you can't touch our brothers. We used to always sing. And yeah, we used to always call him Wurumpoli Jack, you know, always call someone Wurumpoli Jack, you know. Yeah, that's it. So we're going to have the next speaker. We're going to have the granddaughter Bernarda. Granddaughter Bernarda, come forward, please. Thanks for bearing with us. We still got another, I think two more, right? Only two more speeches, and then we will have our divine hymns thereafter. Thank you.
This is a lot harder than I thought, but I'm going to be strong. With a sad and broken heart, I stand to give a tribute to my grandfather. I am Tata's eldest grandchild. Some of the memories I have with you are so clear in my mind as though it just happened yesterday, yet they happened over 20 years ago. I'm so grateful to still have my first birthday present from you, Tata, and that is my gold bangle engraved with the name Millie on it, as you had your own name for me, and that was Melinda. My parents said when I was a baby, you will always stop at our house to see me before you go home. I know at one stage you came to live with us and you took my room, and I used to cry and say, Tata took my room. I remember every time you came to visit me, you would bring Auntie Pam's famous board and the yellow packet bonbon for us. And if you didn't have that board, I would say, Tata, where is my board? I know as soon as you come home, I will have your black tea with 3 sugars ready. I even allocated a specific mug for you when you come. We will sit and talk, and I would ask you where you're coming from, and you will say, I went to buy cigarettes for the tuck shop. We used to make stories together while waiting for the others to come from school. I remember when you used to come to paint our house, and I used to sit and watch you and run to my mom and say, your father is so precise. You would paint the whole house without a dot of paint on your clothes or your hands. While you paint, I remember I would keep asking you if you're ready to eat and if I can dish for you. And you would say, no, I'll eat when I'm done. And that showed me how disciplined and principled you were. And now I know where my mom learned a lot of her values from. She is cheeky, just like you. She's particular with cleanliness, just like you. Her famous line is, cleanliness is next to godliness, and that came from you. So a lot of you reflects in my mom, and that means your legacy will carry on. One of the last moments I have and will treasure is when I held both my daughters in front of you and asked you which one looks like me, and you pointed to my elder daughter. Thank you, Tata, for being there for them and being a part of their life. Tata, as I stand here and say my last goodbye to you, I will miss you dearly. I will miss our daily trips to see you. I was so used to seeing you almost every day in this past year. I know as soon as mommy comes to you, she will call me and say, Tata is very bad. And I will be there in a second to see you. When I get there, I will ask you, how are you, Tata? And you'll say, I'm alright. But I know you were struggling with your health. But I'm also glad that you don't have to suffer any longer. Your battle has come to an end, and you can now rest peacefully, Tata, with no more suffering and pain. I will miss you dearly. I love you forever, and always your eldest granddaughter. Okay, I'm going to read a tribute from my sister Sarah. As I say goodbye to you, Granddad, my heart is filled with immense sadness. Though we may not have shared a daily connection or a particularly close relationship, our bond remains strong and we will always be connected. Your absence leaves a void that can never be fulfilled. Your morals, ethics, and values will live on through us, guiding our actions and decisions. I'm often amazed at how Mom is from her mom and now from her dad, and now I realize it's because she inherited your traits and she used to shape us into who we are today. You've taught us the importance of truthfulness, neatness, hard work, and dedication, always striving for perfection of things. My mom also inherited the ability to scold and scream at us when things are not done correct, and that's just like you. We will deeply miss you, Granddad. Though I am sad you are gone, I'm also glad to know that there's no more suffering for you. Your legacy will never be forgotten. You will always be remembered and cherished in our hearts. That's from Sarah. And the last tribute is from Micah. And it says, Dear Tata, it's never easy to say goodbye, but I am thankful for all the precious memories I got to share with you when you used to come home and sing every time. And even though I asked you to sing again and again, you always did. I will miss asking you every day, Tata, how are you feeling? You would say, I'm alright. Every day just hearing that alright used to make my heart so warm. I will miss that so much. Thank you for impacting my life the way you have. I will miss all the moments that I spent with you. Rest well, Tata. I love you forever.
There's one announcement here. The driver of a Cherry Tiggo, registration DT16GY, please move your car as you're causing an obstruction. Thank you. Thank you, Bernalta, for accommodating my brother whenever he came and you gave him the room. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. You know, I remember my brother. Yes, you're welcome. You can come to. I remember, you know, my brother, the sacrifices that he actually made, you know, and he, you know, being the eldest in the family, he always make sure that we are, you know, like during the holidays, you'll say, hey, come, let's get you walking in town in Durban. You'll say, you know what, we'll sell cosmetics. And he really worked hard. And then when I used to walk, hey, you were such a fast walker, I couldn't even catch up with him. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to get lost because I was so young at that point in time. I think I was like about 8, 9 years old at the time. And during the school holidays, we used to actually go and, you know, to promote his business. We used to help him. And he says, you know, you need to learn this hard life. Money doesn't come easy. And that's how I became so brave. And, you know, with him. And you could even sell a fridge to an Eskimo as well. That's how good we were. And, you know, he made sacrifices for the family. And I truly appreciate him and also the other siblings, because I was so lucky. I was the younger one, and I was able to actually study at university, because the other siblings, Rogers as well, they used to actually work, you know, and bring in they put food on the table. And I was so fortunate that I could actually go and study and become an educator. And I'm so proud and I'm so thankful for Rogers for making me the person who I am. We're going to have the next speaker, the daughter Sharon. Sharon will now say a few words. Thank you.
It's funny how I never prepare my speech with my daughter or daughters, and this morning normally I would say I will speak from my heart, but I had to put my heart in writing because my flesh is feeling weak today. My heart is so heavy as I stand here today to bid farewell to my daddy. Today it's all about you. When I was very small, I used to call you by your name, and I used to call you OJ. You put me on top of the wardrobe, and you lit a match and threatened to burn my mouth if I don't threatened to burn my mouth if not, if I called you by your name. That was my father. I was so small and I vaguely remember that, but my aunties, Charmaine and Vija, used to tease me and tell me what my father did to me. And trust me, I started calling him Daddy. I stopped calling him by his name. That threat worked. How can my brother Sean and I forget how we started to love Escort pork sausages? Escort pork sausages. When my father used to go to Tongat and Fairbrie's Hotel, we were very little. He would buy us pork sausages while he buys his beer. And we would have pork sausages with tomato sauce in the hotel. It was so tasty then. And recently when he could eat, I used to buy him pork sausages. My father was an immaculate man. His pants must have one straight line. He loved to wear Truett's clothes. He always said cleanliness is next to godliness. And we grew up learning those values. He always said that we must be able to eat a plate of food in the toilet. That's how clean it must be. He always liked things to be put in place. So then, girls, you know where I learned that from. So when Leon first came to my house to ask my father for permission to date me, my father put a can of Amstel beer on the table. He banged it on the table and he says, I'm GK Pillay and I don't delay. Right talk now. That was my father. My father was a quiet man. Oh, and trust me, Leon froze. My father was a quiet man, but he was very strict and cheeky. We used to shiver for him. There was not a day that my brother and I stood up and backspoke my father. We never used vulgar languages with him or amongst ourselves. We never used to use the word like even shut up or get out. That's how strict he was. And in my house, the S word is a bad word. Okay? Meaning shut up is a bad word. So I practice that right to now. His son-in-law always bailed and rescued him when he was in trouble. That was his go-to person. Every time he got into trouble, he would pick up the phone, very drunk. And there were other instances when his son-in-law had to bail him out of that. He was proud of his son-in-law being a pastor. He used to tell everyone, my son-in-law is a pastor. When he used to come home, especially when we were in Tongat, he would come a bit tipsy and he will sing, no harm, 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 but the devil can do me no harm. I trust in Jesus' name. I trust. That was my father. And we would laugh at him and then he would go, Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. I don't know why he did that. I think it just gave him something to share with us. That was my dad. One day he came home so tipsy, we were not at home. The girls even recorded him singing and I don't know, the things that they were doing together. And when we came home, Mom, your father came home and this is what happened. And those were good memories. My dad didn't visit me often when we bought our house and moved to Seatides. And one day Leon asked him, and he asked him why he don't visit often. And this is what he said. He said, my daughter is living so nice, bought a house, car. Not a day she came to my house with her clothes. You take such good care of her, I don't have to worry. And Leon told him, but she's still your daughter and she still needs you. But that was his way. That was him. It's been a year now that he has been sick. In his last day, we came like almost twice to visit him. Sometimes we'll even come 3 times. We got so used to this routine. As soon as I open my eyes, I look at my phone, I keep it at my bedside, And I look at my phone to see if there's any messages from Pam, Nadine, or Shevlin about my father. Okay, he's okay today, or he's not okay today, how he is doing. And then I'll send a message to see Pam, how is Daddy today? And I would get out of the bed and, start phoning. And that was my morning routine in the last, I think, 3 weeks or so. It broke my heart to see him so sick. And I would just sit and look at him in the last days. My brother Sean is in New Zealand and tried his best to be here, but was unable to make it due to flights and the number of travel days, and we didn't want to delay the funeral. Pam, Nadine, Chevlin, and the kids, thank you for looking after my father. Really, thank you for taking care of him. Every girl's first love is their father. And Daddy, that was you for me. Now my heart is broken. Daddy, I love you forever. I will miss you tremendously. But your suffering is now over. Rest well, Daddy. Bye.
Thank you, Sharon, for that moving tribute. Just remember, on the most serious note, that I am SK Pillay, and I don't delay as well. Right? Okay, so yes, I thank you for all those good words that you spoke about my brother. I remember he was a very pious. My brother was a very pious and an upright man, and he believed that the hands that serve is holier than the lips that pray. I'll repeat that. The hands that serve is holier than the lips that pray. Normally when we have our Hindu funerals, we have a lot of singing. We sing divine devotional hymns. I was fortunate that last week, Sunday, I visited my brother and I sang the songs whilst he was still living. And he really enjoyed the divine hymns that I sang for him. And I knew that I may not get the opportunity to sing all those hymns today. We thank you. There's so much of speeches that we had. We've just got one last speech, okay? And thanks for bearing with me. The son, Sean, is in New Zealand. Unfortunately, he couldn't come here today. And he made sure he phoned me so many times and said, please, Uncle Robin, please read tribute. So this is the last tribute before we sing a few hymns as well. A tribute to my dad. It is with great heaviness in my heart that I write this tribute to you, Dad. You were a wonderful father to Sharon and I, a brother to your siblings whom you kept very close to your heart. The family and friends you had were also loved very dearly by you, and you kept them very close to your heart. You may not have been the wealthiest person, but you had a heart carved with gold. You were my amazing dad, a life coach, a mentor, and friend that taught me the greatest principles in life: respect, manners, and discipline. You taught Sharon and I not to touch or take stuff that did not belong to you. So true. As you held us both on either side of your hands, you walked us down the road of life, instilling in us the best values and morals money cannot buy. I sit 21,000 miles away today in New Zealand with my wife that made you the proudest dad. everything I did in life, I did to make my dad and mom proud of me. Before we left South Africa, I am so grateful to God that Yvonne and I could live with your blessings. As I stand here today, upon life's thresholds, the various aspects of you that you resonated within my veins is the same blood that pumps to our hearts, which connects us. Your wisdom, guidance, and support shape me into the man I am today. I am grateful for the times that we had and the memories that we created and the years that we spent together. The pictures of you, Mommy, Sharon, and I as a family would always be the clearest ones that lives in my heart. Also of the days that you carried me to the place where I would get the best possible care, where I was with little Aya's house. It is still a very clear picture in my mind. Memories that can never be erased. The greatest lessons of life you taught me in our toughest and darkest days of growing up. As a father, you always made a way. You were always the last to speak and a man of few words, but you chose your words wisely. A man of integrity and intelligence, the characteristics that you had spoke volumes of. Your signature smile could light up a room, and your neat appearance captured the eyes of everyone wherever you went. A smart gentleman you were. I thought I had known what it meant to have my heart broken until now. How I wished I could take some of the pain that I felt away from you. I prayed day and night that things would be easier for you and God would heal you. Everyone keeps saying, you are resting now and you won't feel pain anymore. But I wish you never experienced anything that you went through in this past year. It is hard to believe that you are no more. I wish I could wake up and realize that it is only a dream. But the reality of life is that you are no longer Daddy. Words are not enough to express the deep void that you have left in our hearts. Only God understands as to the reason this happened, and He alone can truly comfort us. The pain and emptiness that we feel today, the sad reality of life, is that death has a big blow on us. But our consolation and joy lie in the fact that you are now safe in the arms of God, resting where we shall meet again. Life is a journey on a train, with its stations, with the changes of routes, and with accidents. At birth, we boarded the train and met our parents, and we believe that they will always travel on our side. However, at some station, our parents will step down from the train, leaving us on this journey alone. As time goes by, other people will board the train and they will be significant. Many will step down and leave permanently. Others will go unnoticed, that we don't realize that they have vacated the seats. The train ride will be full of joy, sorrow, fantasy, hello, goodbyes, and farewells. Success consists of having a good relationship with all the passengers. The mystery to everyone is that we do not know at which station we ourselves will step down. So we must not live in our best way, love, forgive, and offer the best of who we are. It is important to do this because when the time comes for us to step down and leave our seat empty, we should leave beautiful memories for those who will continue to travel on the train of life. Rest easy, Dad, until we meet again. I live to carry the legacy that you have left behind. In my heart, I know that I will never walk alone because your spirit lives on me. Always and forever in our hearts, your son, Sean Pillay, and your only daughter-in-law, Yvonne. Thank you. Such a moving tribute. Thanks. We will now have the Anja's service group who will now render a few hymns. Thank you. Those of you who haven't viewed the face, you can now come through. Thank you. Such a powerful song, Karikare Kaye. Remember when I conducted 2 funerals. At one funeral, we actually, a godly snake came out. And fortunately, the snake didn't even harm us. Another funeral, another house service, in fact, these people actually brought the ashes and they kept it in. And the moment I sang Karikare Kaye, you'll find the lady collapsed, and this is why it's so important that the ashes must be taken and it must be put into the sea or the river. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
வந்தன் தேவன் திருக்கேதாரத புறந்துரை செய்தார் பாவன் தமிழ் பரலோகே திருப்பாரே மதுமாயமிகு மன்னாவது தீன
Hare Hare Hayanamada
Shivaya, Mudavane Namah Shivaya, Mudavane Namah Shivaya, Mudavane Namah Shivaya. Adi Madi Tiriyavanam, Soriyaya Namanande, Tunevane Namah Shivaya, Tunevane Namah Shivaya. Tunevane Namah Shivaya, Tunevane Namah Shivaya, Tunevane Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya, Kadavule Namah Shivaya, Kadavule Namah Shivaya, Kadavule Namah Shivaya. Iniyadi Tirutangam, Bhaktiya Sampurnini, Vallare Namah Shivaya, Vallare Namah Shivaya. Vallale Namah Shivaya, Vallale Namah Shivaya, Vallale Namah Shivaya. Umbudu Tandirane, Amedarumane Murte, Annale Namah Shivaya, Annale Namah Shivaya. Annale Namah Shivaya, Annale Namah Shivaya, Annale Namah Shivaya. Paramani Namah Shivaya, Paramani Namah Shivaya, Paramani Namah Shivaya, Paramani Namah Shivaya. Nimalani Namah Shivaya, Nimalani Namah Shivaya, Nimalani Namah Shivaya, Nimalani Namah Shivaya. Devani Namah Shivaya, Devani Namah Shivaya, Devani Namah Shivaya, Devani Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya, ஜோதியே அன்பேனவன் திரளே அவன் தாரும் ஈசனே பொன்னம்பலானே போபாரம் போற்றினே முன்னாருவானிடம் காராய் திருவோம் கரணி அன்பே அன்பே ஆருயே அன்பே 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 என்னை ஆட்கொண்ட அன்பே அன்பே இன்பனே ஏகனே ஞானனே சல்லாயாருனே போற்றினே நாதனே மாயாவிருளை நீக்கம் தயாமன்னே தத்துவனே காயாயிருளை நீக்கம் கருணை மாமரை போருளே சாயாகுனே ஒரு சேற்றுனியாளனே துயரே துயமாமணியே எம்மையாளாய் சிவகாரணே Dear brothers and sisters, we are reminded that the 15-day ceremony will take place on the 27th and continuing the next day on the 28th. The venue has not yet been decided as yet, but we will inform you as well. May we all rise to do the concluding prayer, please. Paul Dennis, please get ready. We are going to. நலம் பெருதேவா என்னாலும் காராயே சீதமிருங்காயே சிவ தேவ அருள்வாயே பாக்தி மலரோரு நின் பாதம் பணிந்தோமே Sitambara-savaka Adhanameniye Gelme-adari-poniye Adi-antaniye Jagat-jiva-paraninika Devakaraye 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 Dinam Devakaraye
Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namo, Shivaya Namo, Shivaya Namo, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namo, Shivaya Namo, Shivaya Namo, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya.
You running already?
What is your right? So you're gonna walk on the shadow. Right, so you come closer. Okay. Come on the shadow. Try to the concept of just you're walking forward. Right. Let's pass it down there. Thank you. We'll get treated.
Ganas Kisten Pillay Vaman Rupamakisha Putra Vikna Vinayaka Ambika Magadeva and Mahamad Parandaya and Devdadi Sarvati Sarvayami Vaikundavasa and Vilasa Vasana Agodevatra and Mahamadeva
Eulogies.
As you're going around, you sprinkle water.
Don't take it up. Again now. I'm doing it here.
Give me one spot. Break it.
Break it. Destroy it.
Thank you. Kaligavarthanam Kankana Devathrayam Vakthavarayam Vurdas Dimasathrayam Buddharkaram Padanarth Devathrayam Vakthavarayam Namada Pavarayam Atman Arpan Tarpanam Samarpayami Samasivam Mutyantanama Tarpanam Samarpayami Agadevathrayam Vama Devathrayam Om Kaliyam Magadadara Ari Chandravada Kaliyam Magadadara Ari Chandravada Om Kaliyam Magadadara Ari Chandravada Om Vaikundavasandram Kailasavasana Isana Sarva Vidyanam Iswara Sarva Bodhana Brahmadipati Brahmanodipati Brahma Shivam Astu Sada Shivam Isana Murtayana Bodhaparyana Kori Brahmadanayage Achyudaya Anantaya Anam Sarva Devatraya Namam
Come to gentlemen, could we have the pallbearers, please? Walk on either side here, keep the posture up, continue walking.
Morals and values, and my late mom always said and admired wise parents. Uncle Rogers, you were a very wise man that spoke a few words, very humble and intelligent. Today your son walks in your footprints, a man that worked very hard, and Sean has inherited that great quality from you. An honest man that did without it if he didn't have. And today I know that Sean has made you the proudest dad. You've installed priceless qualities in Sean. Thank you. Fly by Mr. Pillay, always and forever, your daughter-in-law that you called Madam.
Okay, man.
Dear brothers and sisters, we've got about 5 minutes. Those of you who haven't viewed the places yet,